Hey, what's up, Bronco fam? As you can see today, we're with our 2022 Bronco again. And in this video, we're going to be replacing these grill lights with the MABETT pop-in lights that are also smoked black. And I know you're probably wondering why, because I just made a video showing the install on these. But if you can see here, they literally just constantly move. And they constantly, look, they just fall out. Like, they constantly just look like that. And then the 3M sticky tape doesn't even hold. I have to replace that 3M sticky tape at least once every 3 days. Because look, it doesn't hold. And they just come right out. See? It's ridiculous. They just fall out. They're constantly moving. And it's just not cool. I don't know why. And there's a weird gap. I mean, the lights are very bright and nice, but if I have to keep adjusting them, it's not really fun for me anymore and not worth it. These are way cheaper. I think they're like $30 on Amazon. And they come with this super nice wire harness. If y'all remember, or if y'all watched the last video, this one had a wire harness, but you had to create all your ends. I had to buy this fuse tap. It's like $10 on itself. And it was way too long. You can see I have all the wires bundled up right in there, and this one looks perfect length. So hopefully this will be our fix to our headache. So let me go ahead and take this off and get back with you. All right, as in before, if you watched my previous video, we're gonna take out all these push pins, and I just set them in the box because I only ordered 3. I didn't get the 5 again. And they just go here, here. This one holds this on. All you do is just pull this off afterwards. It does need to come off to get that vent piece off, and you just take off every single one that holds it on. And our last 2 are right here. So I left this so I can show you. There's a little screwdriver lip right here. You can see right here. And all you do is you get your screwdriver, work around until it pops up. You get your fingers under there, and you might have to work it a little bit more. It's easier with 2 hands, as is most things. There you go. So now you can see it's popped up, and then once that's popped up, you go under that tab and it lifts all the way up. And once that happens, you just give it a little shimmy shimmy sha. Oh, like I said, 2 hands is the win. Normally I'd have 1 hand doing the screwdriver and 1 hand pulling up. And it landed. Let me go grab that. It flew into the engine bay and landed. I heard it hit the ground, so let me go find it. All right, so now that we got all the clips out, we're gonna go ahead and lift this panel up. It should come up completely free. There should be no force. If it does give you force, check again. Reassure you got all the clips out and that you got this off, because if you do not have this off, it will fight you. So get this out of the way, and then you got some 10mm bolts that you have to take off. Sorry, we don't take these off because we're not removing the grill, we're just pulling it out. So what we're doing is removing these 10mm bolts. These ones, the ones with the tab on it. All right, so I was wrong again. It's neither one of these 10 mils you're taking out. In fact, it's 6 of these T25 screws that screw in to that lip all down here. 3 on each side of the stop of the lock, so 3 on each side of it. And once you get that, you can start, see how it's loose now? And then you can just start pulling it and popping it. See? And then when you pull, you just want to go right above the headlight. Just give it some wiggle. Let me make sure I got it. Oh, no, see? Resistance, like I said, you should have no resistance. I missed one. Yep. And there it is. See, no resistance. Now it should. There you go. It comes right out. Now what I was talking about with the excess in the wiring is all of this was tucked up inside here because, I mean, obviously there's nowhere to put it unless I trim this whole harness down, which is 12 super small wires that are connected to these connectors. And I didn't feel like doing all that just for some grill lights. And then they just come right out. I mean, there's nothing to the removal, which if you do it the correct way the first time, you won't have to do this. You'll just get the right one you want, which will hopefully be these MABETTs. So let me finish taking this out and start the install process. All right, so now that we're ready to install these MABETT grill smoked out lights, we got all our old ones out, we got the fuse box ready. Now, before installing this, they actually label it. So this one says left one, this one says right one, and this one says middle. I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, it's very small, but in person you can see it visibly. So yeah, I guess it matters the direction these go. I wouldn't assume it did, but because they already went through the trouble of labeling it, why fight it? So, or actually I get it now. So the tabs, these have the middle tabs, these are angled, and these are angled. So I'm guessing that's to help with the curve of the grill, because it does have a slight curve. So I'm guessing that's what these are for. So I guess it does actually matter. Next, you're gonna count, find middle, and then work your way up to where you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll show you after I get it popped in. All right, so I got them all popped in. It is very important that you put them with the letters, or in the wording normally. Don't put it upside down, or else there'll be a giant gap on top. So if you have a giant gap on top, you're gonna wanna pull it back off, squeeze the tabs, and flip it, because there should be flush. And the reason why there'd be a giant gap, because there's more of a slant going up and it's flat going down. So they make it to where it's even on all sides. And yes, it is a little bulky compared to the old F-150 LEDs. So if you like that route, that's fine. But when I talked to the customer service there, they told me that most people just super glue their LEDs in, and I'm not super gluing anything to a brand new vehicle. So these are a good solution. I'm much happier with these. I know that they're not going to come out with a 10-minute drive. So that's my solution. Nothing wrong with the old ones, just too much work for what I wanted to do. Alright, so I got these two legs connected. Now we're going to go to this last one. You can see how there's that tab up top. That tab's going to connect with this more open space. And it's just going to, until you hear that click, and it's not going out. I always give a little wiggle afterwards, because sometimes it doesn't always stick. Sometimes you hear that click, but the tab didn't always go down. It's just something I do. Now, cool thing about this one is it already comes pre-terminaled with your ground connector, your tapped fuse tap, and then a quick disconnect right here. So it's already much better than the other kits I've seen. The other one I had to go and buy everything else for it. This one I actually might change. I'm not sure if it will fit around. No. Okay, so maybe I could thread it in. We'll see. If this one works, I'm gonna put it right here to that ground, and we'll see. I'm gonna wire it through though. So I'm just gonna go above the headlight and then through this channel going back, just to kind of give it kind of a hidden look, because I mean, no one wants wires just showing through everywhere. Can be a little tricky, but just keep feeding it through and it should pop out the other end. It's a nice loom on it, it's real protective, looks good, kind of matches the factory loom look, which is always nice when you can match factory. Let's see, how close am I? Yep, there it is. So now you see it routed through. Still want to be careful pulling, because these are sharp edges and you don't want to tear through the loom. All right, and now once you get there, it's a little tight. We're just going to set it and then get everything else here go ahead and tucked in and zip tied the way we want. Alright, so I ended up using 3 zip ties to hide up the wiring. My first one is this hole right here by the hood latch, and the second one is right next to it on this side. You can see I tucked the wire under this black lip so that when the grill closes, it doesn't trap the wire. You need to be mindful where you zip tie because a lot of these holes use that Torx bits that we just removed. I already checked, these don't require it. My next zip tie was right here. This is much less loom than we had before. I can live with this amount zip tied. I couldn't live with that big bundle of loom. So I'm actually gonna zip tie once more to get this all wrapped up. Just because I like as clean as possible and I don't want any wires poking through anywhere. Okay, so now that's there, I'm just gonna tuck this back down. Remember, that shield's gonna cover all this up, so any wire you have is gonna be okay because it's gonna be all covered up. Okay. Always be real delicate when you're pushing in. You don't know if it's trapped or hooked on any paint. You don't want a $30 light to put you back a few $100s on paint repair. So now that that's done, we're not going to put the shield back on yet until we know it's all working and functioning the way we want to. So next, you're going to come over here. We're going to, I don't know if our ground and fuse are going to reach. Let's see. Let me see what fuse it wants us to use real quick. The instructions are in the box, thankfully. Alright, so the fuse it wants us to use has this little red 10 amp, and it's right along here. You see these 3? Well, then you're going to skip one and go to this one. Now you can see I trimmed a little bit right here. That's because when this sits, it would stop right there because it was hitting this plastic cover. So I trimmed it very carefully, and now it goes all the way in and it's flush. You'll never know it's different if you never take it off. And even if you do take it off, it's not going to affect anything. This is just plastic and it's still protected with this. Now the next thing I did was I trimmed out a V. Don't just stop with the outside, you have to go on the inside and trim a little too, because this will also cut the wire. So trim out both of these or else it will cut the wire and you'll have headaches later down the road. I know because I've done it. Instructions, very good, the front and back. If you haven't done this before, the instructions can be a little hard to read, so I hope this video helps. Next, we're going to take this ground and let me see, does it reach? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of this loom, pull the wire back and make it work. Pause it. Alright, so this connector actually did work with this ground. The instructions did say they wanted to mount it right here. I don't do that just because whenever I change the battery, I don't like fighting with everything. I want simple as possible. So I mounted it right here. This is where I had the original one mounted, perfect. I had to thread this bolt into this connector, but it went perfectly fine. I didn't have to spread the wings or anything. This one's in. Now before I pretty it up, I'm going to start the truck up and see how it looks. Oh yeah. Alright, they look pretty good.
They do. They turned right on.
Yep. Very nice. I might go through and put some tape right here to cover that up.
Yeah.
So I have some of this tape laying around. I forgot the name. I think it's Tessa tape. It's the same tape they use on the modern cars. It's very durable and heat resistant. So what I'm going to do is, if you can see in here, you can still see the wires in the connector, and I don't like it. I think it looks cheesy. So I'm gonna go through with this tape and cover it up. If I have to disconnect it, I can, because this is a different style tape than the loom. So it'd be pretty easy to spot. I'm not gonna go crazy with it. Just enough to make it look nice. Alright, well now that I got all that done, you can see every connector's taped up. It's black, it all matches now. I went ahead and you can see I tightened all the T25 torque screws. Now the grill is on. Next up, we're gonna put this protective cover back up. It's gonna go the same way we took it off. So, alright, push back, and there you go. So now that it's on, we can start putting the push tabs back in. Alright, so now that we got our cover back on, we made sure to put the intake tube back in. If you come over here, see the fuse panel lid is back on with our wire coming out. We're just gonna go ahead and tuck that right down. And even though I cut it, this was still snug fit. So if you don't cut it, it's not gonna go back on. Unless you know a different way. You might be able to drill a hole in the side or something, you know. I still want to keep it waterproof, so if it cuts down, the water should still run down if by any chance it gets water in here. So that's it. That completes your install for the MABETT grill lights. I will provide the link in the YouTube description and a picture of it while talking. So like I said, I believe it's 30. It could be more. I don't know. I'm just going off my brain. I order so many things for this Bronco, it's hard to remember how much everything I spend is. And yeah, you know how it goes. So yeah. Thanks again for watching a video from us. It is over 100 degrees. We're sweating our butts off.
It's like 112, I think.
We are doing this for y'all so that whenever you go ahead and do an install or find a part, you know what's easier, what's working, what doesn't work. I will tell you also, the F-150 LEDs was significantly brighter than MABETT's, but the install of the MABETT was 100 times easier and was much faster. The F-150 LEDs took us almost an hour. This took us maybe 10 minutes. So do with that info as you want. Both are great products. You know the pros and cons of each, and I hope that helps. Yes, so please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Yep, thank you. We'll see you guys in the next one.